Nice skull. This. Environment. Okay. So you've got the frontal bone, parietal bone, occipital bone, temporal bone. You've got the coronal fissure. No, the coronal suture. You've got the sagittal suture. You've got the squamous suture. And you've got the lambenoid suture right here, lambenoid. You've got the nasal bone, which is right in here. You've got the maxilla bone. You've got the mandible right here. You've got the mental foramen, the mandibular rambus, the coracoid process of the mandible, mandibular notch, and the mandibular condyle. Coracoid process, notch, and condyle. Then you've got the zygomatic bone, which is right here. Then you've got the sphenoid bone, which is in here. The sphenoid bone. You've got the ethmoid bone, which is in here. And you've got the lacrimal bone, which is also in here behind the ethmoid bone. You've got the nasolacrimal bone, which is also back in here, closer to the nasal cavity. The supraorbital foramen, which is this right up top here, the bone above where your eyebrows would be. You've got the intraorbital foramen, which is inside here, in there. The eyes are. Then you've got the superior orbital fissure, which is in here. And then you've got the inferior orbital fissure, which is below the superior orbital fissure. And then you've got the vomer bone, which is in the nasal cavity. It's in there. Then you've got the perpendicular plate to the ethmoid bone, which is also in the nasal cavity. You've got the middle and inferior conch in the nasal cavity. The middle is above the inferior conch. You've got the anterior nasal spine, which is back inside. Can't really see it on this small skeleton. It's back in here. Back in there. And then you've got the external auditory meatus, which is right here. And then you have the gabella, which is right between the eyes, where the nose meets the eyes, right there. The greater lesser wing of the sphenoid bone, which is by the sphenoid bone in here. The optic canal, which is inside here, where the optic nerve runs through. The foramen rotundum, which is right here. Oops. Right here. Foramen ovale, which is right here. Then you've got the foramen spinosum, which is right below that, down here. The carotid canal, which is right here. the jugular foramen, which is below it, the palatine bone, which is up here. You've got the incisive fossa, which is inside here. The greater palatine foramen, which is up here above the palatine bone. The foramen magnum is where the spinal cavity is, so this hole here at the bottom, right here. The mastoid process is right here. The styloid process is right here. Mastoid, styloid, and then the stylomastoid foramen is in between right here. The crista gialli is here, right here. The stella turcica is in here as well, up this like spiny part right here. And the internal auditory meatus would be in here by the ears.